Stop making excuses for things that you can control, right? That's the title of today's video, and that's what I'm coming on here to talk about, right? None that has to go into, too much in depth behind the title and the meaning behind the title, right? It's pretty much self-explanatory and, not something that's, inherently out of this world, right? So we're going to get right into it, right? Stop making excuses for things that you can't control, right? Now, obviously, when you're going through life, when you're going through trials and tribulations, when you're going through challenges in your life, right? Obviously, a form of being able to express what you may be going through, or to be able to kind of cope with it and be able to, I guess, kind of get that pain, kind of get that turmoil, that stress off of you is, just to kind of talk about it, right? Reflect about it, right? But as you go on, you could start to kind of turn that into a negative thing, right? It's nothing wrong. First of all, I want to say this, right? It's nothing wrong with, expressing your problems, right? Expressing the problems that you may be going through, especially if that's within yourself, you know what I mean? Whether that be through prayer, whether that be through getting in the word, you know what I mean? Whether that may be through, taking notes, journaling, any type of positive reinforcement to help you better be able to deal and come to terms with the problems that you may be going through, and to be able to, come up with a solution, salute to that. It's nothing wrong with that, and there will never be nothing wrong with that, right? You want to be able to have, a healthy, positive, reinforcement to that. That way you don't end up just bottling it all up and just exploding one day, right? But what I'm trying to get at, the negative aspect of it, right, is to make excuses about it, right? Now I get it, everybody's situation is different. Not everybody's situation is exactly the same. So who am I to say that you cannot make excuses for, what situation that you may be going through in the car that you may be dealt with in life, right? I don't know what you going through, and, obviously you don't know what I'm going through unless I express that to you, right? So obviously I'm not going to sit up here and say that, just don't make excuses at all. Obviously if you're going through something that's a little bit difficult, to come with trying to make a solution for, or something that's really, out of your control, obviously I could see why you would make the excuse. I could see why you would, come to that term within your head, right? But if it's something that's in your control and something that you are liable to make a change to, obviously, yeah, it may be frustrating in that moment, but you sitting up and complaining and making excuses about it is not going to do anything to overall better the situation and for you to come up with a solution to it, right? Like I said, not to keep touching on that, right? Obviously, it's going to be times like, dang, man, like, if only I had this much more money. If only I had a car, you know what I mean? If only I had, a popular following. Just anything that you may be going through, right? You know what I mean? Just them type of excuses right there, right? Stuff like that, right? Obviously that may pop up in your head when you coming up with, trying to figure out a way to better resolve the problem and get through it, right? But if you are able to reflect on that, right, you look deeply within your problem, you sit down, like I said, do prayer, whether, prayer or reading through the word, or, writing down and journaling it. If you could come up, with a solution, a scenario, or an outcome to be able to change that problem, to be able to, fix that problem, then, it should be no need to make excuses, right? You want to be able to try to work on those things as much as possible. That way you don't have a means to make an excuse, right? You don't have a reason to make an excuse, right? Because you working on it as much as you possibly can, because you know that it's something that you can control in the back of your head, right? Obviously, if it's something that you know that is way out of your reach, something that you know that can't be done, and obviously I could see why, like I said, you would make that excuse. But even then, don't try to dwell on it too long, because you know that is something that you can inherently not change at the end of the day. You just got to take that and move forward the best way that you can to try to come with a solution to that problem. But if you know that you can change it, don't sit up here and try to dwell on it, right? You know, jump into action as quick as you possibly can to be able to change that, right? If you know that obviously you want to try to eat better and you want to try to get, you know, more active again and getting your body right? Obviously, you know what I mean? You may not be able to get a gym membership right then and there, but why let that stop you from, you know, making the start to getting your body, you know, back into shape and back into the way that you would want it to be, right? You know, or food, you know what I mean? I know inflation hitting us all crazy right now, you know what I mean? Obviously that one may be a little bit harder, but if you know things like that you could change, right? Obviously you may not be able to get that gym membership, but if you got a means to go outside or to work out in your home, do that, you know what I mean? You may not have dumbbells, you may not have a barbell to lift with. Start with calisthenics, you know what I mean? Push-ups, sit-ups, you know what I mean? Those type of things, right? You know, like with the food scenario, right? Obviously you may not be able to jump ship and make a whole new, you know, diet just out of nowhere right then and there, but you could start by just implementing a little bit more healthier choices. That way you watch what you eating, you watch what you intaking, and you making a better decision when you are, you know, trying to eat to change that diet, whether that be through bulking, cutting, or whatever your health goals is, right? You know, things like that. Use that to try to not make an excuse, right? Obviously you don't got the best means, obviously you don't got it all handed to you, but you see with that scenario, that situation right there, right? You could still make a way to change that, and you could still try to do something to come up with an outcome, right? Things like that, you know what I mean? Obviously, you know, you may not have the best equipment to do YouTube, right? You may not have, you know, the most, you know, up-to-date camera, the most up-to-date microphone, the high-tech microphone, you know what I mean? You may not have the most, you know, high, you know, tech editing software, right? But, you know, I'm recording on my phone, you know what I mean? That's just showing that, you know, I'm still trying to make an outcome, that I'm still trying to figure out a solution to the problem instead of making an excuse about it, right? You know what I mean? When it's things that you can change, you know, you want to be able to reflect on that and take, you know, each and every route that you can to try to change that, right? Each and every scenario you can try to go through to change that, right? When it is things that you can control, right? Like I said, that way, you know, later on in the future or just in that present moment, you know, there is no excuses to be made, right? There is no excuses that you can bring up or be brought into the present, right? Because you doing what you can to make a change out of that situation, right? I'd rather know that I'm putting in as much work as I possibly can to change my situation, you know, even though if it's not, you know, changing overnight or growing as rapidly as I thought I would, at least I'm trying to make a change in order to do that. And that way I don't have an excuse to make in the back of my head, right? I don't have, you know, a reason to complain, because I'm trying the best that I can with the means that I have, right? I'm still trying to make an outcome, you know, just based off of what I have, right? I'd rather know that in the back of my head, that I'm doing what I can to try to make a change, you know what I mean, with the means that I have, without making excuses about it, right? I'm doing what I can, that way I can't make an excuse about it, right? So that's the title of the video. That's what I came on here to talk about. Nothing that's too, out of this world or newfound. Just something that I wanted to come on here and express. So with that being said, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'm out.